The day after Lady Lex and I were taken to the shrine, Priestess Elvira, with Asha, entered the pen escorted by several guards, including Lieutenant Shore. The warrior who replaced Jorlin as Elvira's lover and right hand. Elvira claimed that she was bored and sought entertainment from us. Urban was chosen first. Lady Lex assisted him, and they performed. Well, Verban claimed it was like a comedy routine. Lady Lex scoured the limited materials we had to use as makeup. Priestess Elvira didn't seem overly thrilled, but she did not punish them for their performance. Prince Durndal and Narendra were picked next by Priestess Asha to perform. She wanted Narendra to stick his head in Prince Durndal's mouth. After hearing what was being asked, Durndal began backing away and said he wished not to perform such an act. According to Garrick, translating to us, Nar, being himself, became very adamant about doing the trick. Nar then shocked everyone at one point by speaking Elvish to Durndal. Somehow he convinced him to do the trick. It brought a slight smirk to Priestess Elvira's lips as she saw the performance. We had no clue that Narendra knew Elvish. The next form of entertainment they wished to see was a sparring match between Garrig and Ronkt. Two of the guards handed each one of them a metal rod. As the two of them started the sparring match, Garrick landed the first strike. Then Ronkt countered with one of his own. They fought for several moments before Garrick knocked out Ronkt. The drow wanted Garrick to continue striking the unconscious Ronkt.
That isn't sporting,
he replied. After hearing his reply, the drow warrior standing behind Garrick hit him for disobeying what they wanted. Garrick struck back, and then the two eventually broke out into full-blown attacks, even though Garrick was just in rags and armed with the metal rod. He seemed to get the upper hand at times. At one point, the drow warrior started really laying into Garrick, so Garrick grabbed the warrior and lifted him up in a grapple. Then he began walking over towards the trough of water while carrying him. Garrick then threw the warrior into the water and started to drown him. While my heart leapt as Garrick was scanning the upper hand, fear started to creep into my heart. As I started thinking about the repercussions if he not only beat the warrior but killed him, I began to plead with Priestess Asha to try to stop the fight. Unfortunately, Priestess Elvira didn't appreciate me beginning to speak out and commanded Shore to cut my tongue out if I said anything else. All I could do was watch in horror as the drow guard suddenly stabbed Garrick in the midsection with his short sword. Shore quickly grabbed me by the hair and forced me to watch as the warrior emerged from the trough and hovered over Garrick, ready to deliver the final blow. He said into my ear,
"You won't want to miss what comes next."
Time seemed to slow down as I watched. The drow warrior stabbed Garrick again in the belly and began to bleed out before my very eyes. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lady Lex send her spider companion to Garrick, then started yelling that it was a sign from Lolth. He dove on top of him, attempting to save him, but it was too late. But Asha picked up the small spider and looked at Lady Lex and nodded, and agreed that it was a sign, then handed the spider back to Lady Lex. Sadly, Garrick had already succumbed to the injuries from the drow guard. The guards then picked him up and dragged his body out of the pen. Ovar began gloating that she would make use of his skin to craft a new cloak for herself, with an evil smirk. I ran to one of the dark corners of the pen and began weeping over the death of my beloved Garrick. Topsy-turvy made a comment about how he died and how he should have not have fought back. I was so angry that I picked up a rock and threw it at them. It landed at their feet. I cried myself to sleep for the next couple of nights. A few days later, several guards entered the pen once again and wanted the strongest of us to go with them. Prince Darendel, Elzeth, Narendera, and myself were chosen and led out of the pen, and they escorted us north. They told us that we were going to feed the giant spiders living in the webs below the outpost. When I heard that, my heart sank. As I started thinking back to what Topsy-turvy said the other day, on how a couple of them had to throw another prisoner's body down to the spiders below to get rid of it. At the first set of webs, the guards ordered us to climb down to the webs below. Then they sent down the sacks of meat after so we could feed the giant 8-legged creatures. We did this several times. Thankfully, nothing in the meat sacks resembled Garrick. They led us to the last location, which was the barracks. I noticed it was guarded by a few Quagoths. Near the barracks was a lift with a basket that could be lowered by 2 people. The rope was crafted by spider silk. They loaded us up into the basket with the sacks of meat. Then we were lowered to the webs below. We fed the last batch of spiders, then we filed back into the basket and were lifted back up. As the guards were leading us back, we were passing by the secondary barracks. Someone approached us from the shadows. When they ventured into the dim light, we could see that it was Jorlin. He wanted Narendera to go with him. Nar and I nodded to each other, and he went along with him. I'm not sure why he wanted Nar, but I didn't sense that he was in any danger. The rest of us were led back to the pen. After some time, Narendera returned, led back by Jorlin. He told us that Jorlin offered him an escape plan where he hoped that we would embarrass Priestess Elvara in shore if we take the fall for the escape. Then Narendar delivered astonishing news given to him from Jorlin. Garrick was brought back to life by Priestess Elvara in Asha and was being tortured for Elvara's pleasure, but she was growing bored of it. I'm pretty sure it's because of Garrick's nonchalant attitude and probably him doing his quit it thing. Lady Lex, knowing that our escape is coming soon, needed some way to create a divine token to use as a spell focus. She decided to sacrifice this still unconscious Ront. As Lady Lex began creating her warrior stone with some sort of dancing ritual, Ruberin took stool to one of the corners of the pen and faced him away from the display. I joined the pair and helped keep the small machinid from watching. At one point, I had Stool hit me with his spores again so I could communicate with him. I told him that our escape was coming soon, and he let out some happy little yells from the news. Then I turned to Verbert and I told him to keep an eye on the little guy. He nodded and he said he would protect him with his life. After 3 days, the guards returned Garrett to us. When I saw him, I ripped up a small piece of my rags and I went over to the trough and dumped it into the still blood-stained water. Then I rushed to his side. I tried to cleanse what looked like fresh wounds and held the big guy tightly in my arms. I was shocked when I saw that Garrick's broken tusk was fully restored as well. And as of now, I started counting the hours to our escape from this horrid place. To be continued, fellow adventurers.